Not me being a weirdo when it opens. Yep. Hi guys, welcome back for part two.
But that's what's the best about live, let's be honest. So,
I think it is. I feel like the best part about being part of live content is you get to see the little bits and pieces that get cropped out later when it becomes clips. So, as we left part one, you were just about to start talking about your lipedema journey. So, let's pick up right where we left off.
okay. So lipedema is a loose connective tissue disease. Sometimes it gets mixed up with different things like lipidemia, which is totally different. But lipedema is a condition that has been studied and getting a lot more attention now. It is our bodies are different. It affects 1 in 9 women, actually. 11%
Wow.
are affected by it. I run into people all the time that have lipedema. I've been part of the lipedema community so hardcore since I got diagnosed. So, and ever since I was really young, my legs have had a different shape than any of my friends or anything. And it can present itself in different ways. It's not the same as lymphedema. So, but lipedema left untreated and progressed can result in secondary lymphedema. I have what's called lipolymphedema, which is lipedema with secondary lymphedema. So what that means is that at puberty, as my body was changing, was when we first started seeing the symptoms of lipedema. And what that is my thighs kind of got big in proportion to the rest of my body. My friends would call me thunder thighs, which was horribly rude, but and made me very self-conscious as a girl, barely 12. And I was always very, very curvy, and the bottom half of me was always bigger than the top half of me. And it didn't matter what I did, diet, trying to lose weight, it didn't matter. My body, that part of my body wouldn't change or respond the way the top half would. So, and for many years, I just got really good at hiding my legs, which most women with lipedema are amazing at. And so because of that, I thought I was alone. I thought I was just this woman with these weird legs. And I had these strange like pucker marks on my thighs. I'm very overt about it now. And I'm not ashamed to share who I am because it affects 1 in 9 women. Like that's not a small statistic. And most of us think we're alone. And it was so funny because when Dr. Herbst diagnosed me with lipedema, she connected me up with a Facebook group, which was much smaller back then because you're talking 2012 and we're in 2026 now, right? So I got into the group and I'm looking at all these women and I was like, oh my God. It was like that when you feel like you found your place, there's all these women that look just like me. And it was so dramatic that even my husband, who was passing behind me while I was on my laptop, he stops and he goes, "What are your legs doing on the internet?" And I was like, "Honey, those aren't my legs. These are other women's legs." And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's called lipedema." And anyway, we were both astounded. I ended up going to Germany and getting multiple surgeries to actually address the lipedema, and I thought I was cured way back when. But there's so much more to it than just that, and inflammation can continue to drive it. Sometimes a woman with lipedema, she may have the bigger thighs. As it progresses, there might be these little lumps and bumps that turn into harder nodules. And it'll also affect the back of the arms as it progresses. I had always pretty distinct, like nice little ankles that were always swollen but defined. Sometimes women have legs where they don't have a defined knee and their calves might just go straight into their ankles, or they may even end up with an ankle cuff where there's a distinct amount of tissue that comes and then creates an actual cuff at the ankles. So lymphedema is when the lymphatic system is damaged and it causes this swelling, and it causes this very unusual extreme swelling. And it can happen when lymph nodes have been damaged, It can happen when the lymphatic system itself is damaged. And for me, it's a systemic thing because the lipedema had progressed so much that it had actually damaged my lymphatic system. The thing to know about the lymphatic system is this: your lymph is it's the garage truck, the garbage truck of your system. It goes through and it scoops up all the toxins and all the stuff that your body doesn't need and can't use, and actually then deposits it so that it can be cleaned out. You have to move the lymph. You have to do a lot of things. There's a lot of self-care stuff that goes with it. What the first and foremost is, do not drive inflammation. So here's what I found: sugar, anything that turns into sugar, drives inflammation with lipedema and makes it worse. That was my own personal experience. My legs hurt in the beginning only with like light touch. If a cat jumped on my lap, it would hurt. I would get spontaneous bruising and things like that. And then over time it got worse, where my legs just hurt because they just hurt. And that was it. And my mobility was deeply impacted, which is what led me originally to California, because I just wasn't doing well. My whole system was like not circulating properly. So we've come a long way in the arena of lipedema. And we now know that excess fat is not the same as regular fat at all. Like there's different inflammatory markers and things that are within the interstitial fluid, which is insane. So fast forward, having loose connective tissue disease, and I don't eat sugar. So I was craving a little something. I don't have a huge sweet tooth, but I started making gummy bears just for fun. And I'm going to say that was probably like 2016, I'm going to guess. And if you've ever made gummy bears at home or any kind of gummy candy at home, it has to stay in the fridge or it doesn't stay like a gummy. So it's very challenging. And I found that challenge fun. And I made it with gelatin on purpose because I actually wanted the collagen from gelatin. So as you can imagine, fast forward during COVID, I was making a lot of gummy bears. Other people were making sourdough bread. I was making gummy bears. And I was trying to perfect my recipe. And my husband was like, these are really good. We should actually bring these to market. And I was like, what? Like, I don't even know how to do that. But there you go. And I started, and I actually got very passionate about it because there were other gummy bears on the market that people thought were keto, and they're not. Smart Sweets is one of the brands that has a gummy bear, and they even have Swedish fish. And I'll still find people in the keto space that are like, oh, I'm just eating my sugar-free. I'm like, please test your blood sugar and your ketones, because no. So what I found was those would spike my blood sugar, and I was very curious why. So that led me down the rabbit hole of like, hold on a second, if this ingredient, if it says it's sugar-free, I'm assuming that it's going to be sugar-free.
Mm-hmm.
Not so. And that spans all the ingredients. So just so you know, sugar alcohols come with their own sometimes catastrophic digestive issues, but even maltitol, right? Which is now the thing that the tricky thing, we were talking about that earlier. That's like, that is the catastrophic poop attack. Like, yes. Oh my gosh. And if you've ever like just, no, it's terrifying. But maltitol, the other thing is that even dietitians and people in the diabetes space are like, no, it's not they don't consider it diabetic friendly. So when somebody gets diagnosed with prediabetes or diabetes or insulin resistance or metabolic syndrome, and they find that they need to control their blood sugar and stop having sugar, they look for sugar-free. But the sugar-free aisles are just massive deception, because why are you sugar-free? You're sugar-free because you don't want what sugar does inside the body. But almost every sugar-free product still does what sugar does in the body, actually. So Smart Sweets, for example, they use IMO, which is called isomalto oligosaccharide. Back then in 2020, we thought that was a fiber, not a fiber. It actually still retains some of the syrup components. So, and there are studies that have shown that IMO, isomaltol oligosaccharide,
Yep.
can actually spike your blood sugar like straight glucose. So it was never keto, and it was never keto friendly because, again, we're going back to the science, right? If you're spiking blood sugar, your ketones are going to go away. That is the truth of it. There isn't, they don't, they're not going to coexist in the same environment. Insulin rises, ketones drop because it has to handle the sugar, and it has to handle the sugar quickly. The body does, because it's hazardous. It's actually a toxin. And that includes fruit and fruit sugars. What people don't realize about fruit is, like, fructose is processed in the liver, not the same as sugar. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is one of the largest conditions now plaguing Americans, and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. It's not from alcohol, it's from high fructose corn syrup and an abundance of fructose in our diet. Even fruit is not what it used to be, just so you know. It used to have way more fiber, and it used to have and not be as sweet, but there's crossbreeding. There's so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes in the food world that blows my mind to make stuff sweeter, more palatable, less fibrous, more sugary, because we want that sugar hit. There's nothing more addictive and stimulating than sugars and sweeteners. So some sweeteners will actually stimulate that. It's called a cephalic response, where it actually causes your insulin to rise in anticipation of it. So when you're going sugar-free, you're like, okay, there's ingredients that, like pectin. Pectin is a fiber. A fiber should not impact your blood sugar. It should literally only feed the gut, and it should just pass through undigested and with no impact. But that isn't what happens. So I was very curious about this because we came out with these. These are our Fruity Chews. This is the candiest thing we make. So you would think it's our gummy bears. These are our gummy bears. Our gummy bears are great, and none of our products impact your blood sugar whatsoever. Like I said earlier, I wear I wear a CGM when I'm testing products, but these products, like these guys, they're all, and let me show you something. So they are ketogenic certified. That's not just like a hoo-hoo, isn't this cute thing that I put on my bag. There's actually an organization where you can actually sign up. First, they vet you by, like, send me your ingredient panel. And if they approve you to even be reviewed, then you pay a fee, they buy your product, and then they test it in a lab on real humans in real situations over the course of a day. And it cannot spike blood sugar. It cannot impact ketones. And if it does either of those things, you don't get to have this certification. I wanted that because I found that I could maintain my ketones and keep my blood sugar stable with my products and my sweeteners and my ingredients. But I didn't know, what if somebody's doing a ketogenic diet to handle epilepsy? What if they're doing a ketogenic diet for diabetes, and it's real, like they actually need to control their blood sugar? I wanted to know through additional verifications that my products were safe, and they are. They're amazing. And I mean, we've been in the market long enough that I can say that now.
So before we move on from this, let's talk a little bit about keto certified. Because not every product that says keto certified is actually certified by testing. Some of them just say keto or keto friendly on the front. Some of them will say things like sweetened with stevia, but when you flip it over, sure enough, it's maltodextrin and isomalt. We were talking about one of the biggest offenders of that when I first started eating keto, and we don't like to bash, but it is what it is, Russell Stover's chocolates. When I first started eating keto, I could eat them, and it wasn't a problem. And I saw everybody in the groups calling them poop candies. And I was like, are they really poop candies though? Because it doesn't bother me at all. And to be honest with you, 7 years ago, it didn't bother me. 7 years ago, I could eat a half a bag. And I think it's just because of all of the junk that I used to eat that I don't eat now. And because I'm so much more cognizant of what I put into my body, I see reactions. So is it that it didn't affect me before, or I just didn't notice because my body was like that all the time? Fix one, half dozen the other. I'll let you decide. But I will share a little bit of public humiliation. Because when we go live, we like to humiliate ourselves just a little bit, right? It's for science and it's for the people. But when people warn you, don't trust a keto fart, believe them. Believe them. Like, believe them with all of your heart and all of your soul, and don't giggle at them. And when you feel the need to fart, absolutely go to the bathroom. But it comes with a disclaimer that you also fart in your sleep. You absolutely do that in your sleep. So if you've never known the horror of waking up in a underpants disaster, please don't do it. Just don't do it. So let's talk about what sweeteners you use and why you don't have to worry about being a disaster pants.
Yeah. I mean, that is so maltitol. The ultimate, it really is the ultimate, because it tastes like sugar. It tastes so sweet.
It does.
We had one of those experiences in South Africa when my husband and I were staying with some friends that are very much part of the ketogenic community over there. And they had this chocolate bar, which they gave to Grant, and he ate the whole thing because it was so delicious. Yeah, he literally paid for that over the next 2 days, no exaggeration. And he's just like, never. Anyway, so in our quest to actually find a really clean and a safe sweetener, you have, so there erythritol, I could never stomach erythritol, even though it wasn't as bad as maltitol. But personally, I just had a really bad experience with it digestively, and it wasn't worth it to me. And it's not something that I would ever want to like snack on or eat. And then xylitol is deadly to dogs. And
yes.
If you're going to create a product that you're going to share with the whole family, you really have to be cognizant of that, because even the tiniest amount can actually cause catastrophic liver failure in a dog. So to me, it's just not worth it. And yeah, no. So for us, it was, there were limited things, and we really started researching, and that's when we stumbled across allulose. Some people are sensitive to allulose, but even if they're sensitive to allulose, it's not the same. It's not the catastrophic stomach upset, but it may make them go to the bathroom more. But we've found, now we've been doing this for 5.5 years, and I would say it's a very small percentage that are that sensitive to allulose. And then don't eat an entire
whole bag.
Don't do it. It doesn't say, I'm not here to facilitate your binge. I'm just trying to give you something that carries you through. And actually, I have all functional ingredients in here. But anyway, but what I was going to say was the allulose is amazing because it's been shown to even reduce blood sugar response when taken with other carbs. And not everybody necessarily knows that, but like my grandson, we picked him up from school and he had been given cookies, like sugar cookies, and we're pretty sugar free even with the littles. He was about 3, and he's usually like the cutest, sweetest little soul. And he was, quite frankly, being a little bit of a shit. And I was kind of startled by how belligerent and kind of cranky he was. And then I found out that he'd had this cookie that was covered in sprinkles and whatever. And I was like, come here. And I was like, almost got something for you. He loves my caramels. So I gave him a couple of salted caramels, and it actually calmed him down. And it's, to me, that's kind of fascinating and astounding. So my pancake syrup, I've had multiple people tell me, with our pancake syrup, they might indulge on a Sunday and actually have real pancakes. Although I have really good 0 sugar pancake recipes on my website for free. But if they want to indulge in regular pancakes and use our pancake syrup, they're not going to experience the same spike that they would if they used anything else. Even just the pancakes bare, they're still going to mitigate that response, which is, to me, very exciting, because at the end of the day, you want to have something that's delicious, and you want to have something that's satisfying, that feels like normal. Because I
Yes.
think in the keto space, we get used to eating things that don't taste normal. They either have a weird texture or they have a weird aftertaste. And we're like, oh, that's okay. Because what else am I going to eat? And if you're a foodie, it's like, no, you don't want to do that.
The
So,
scale of acceptability, and I'll tell people this all of the time, because I accept that I have to, make or buy alternatives for everything that I want. I have already accepted in my mind it doesn't have to be 100%.
yeah,
And I tell myself that over and over. Doesn't have to be 100%, Jory, as long as it's 90%. Like if it's 90% of the color, it should be 90% of the texture, 90% of the flavor. That's okay, because sometimes 90 is the best that you can do. But what
yeah,
I love about your products is it's the full 100. Like we get all of the flavor, we get all of the satisfaction without any of the guilt, the crash. And let's be honest, it takes 2 to 3 days for something to work its way out of your system. So if you want to have sweets, but you don't want to feel like you got hit by a Mack truck for 3 days straight, then maybe you want to go over to her website and check out all of the different products, because even since I've seen you last, you've expanded. So
yeah,
can we show everybody what variety you have in amazing products? Because I would love that.
absolutely. Okay, so pancake syrup. This is probably our far and away biggest seller. Even if you're carnivore, just so you know, people put it on bacon. They put it on
Ooh.
salmon. They make barbecue rub. They make sweet and spicy chicken. Some people
Ooh.
drizzle it over well, they make cheese and eggs, and they'll make like an omelet with spicy sausage and then drizzle pancake syrup all over it. Like the ways that people use this is fantastic.
I'm
So that's
obsessed with carnivore fluffy pancakes too. The Japanese style carnivore.
yes,
Obsessed.
I
10 out of 10. I love those.
and they're
Love them.
incredible with my pancake syrup. Incredible with my pancake syrup. And this is the number one product that like even sugar eaters
Yeah.
will buy. I'm not kidding. Oh, I have a great story. I will share one story. I know we're at
Okay.
20, but whatever. I have
We
to
got
share.
time.
It was so good. So I was recently at a birthday party with some friends, and it was kind of a fancy birthday party. And I ran into somebody that I literally haven't seen since the beginning of our gummy bear journey. And the
Yes.
woman was like, how's it going with your gummy bears, right? And I was like, oh yeah, no, the gummy bears are good. We've added a whole bunch of other products. We now have a whole line of caramels. So good. We actually have 4 different caramels. They're so good.
Oh, shut up.
So I'm telling her about the caramels and all of that. And I was like, oh, yeah. And we also have pancake syrup and we have sweeteners. And she was like, oh. And I was like, I know it's weird. We're a candy company. What are we doing with pancake syrup? And I was like, the truth of it is that I love pancakes. I love them. I have a 0 carb pancake recipe that I make that I love. And I call it my butter transport system. And then I wanted a really good pancake syrup. And I just didn't find any that didn't either spike my blood sugar, taste like crap, or have a weird texture to them, or somehow mess up my pancakes. So I made my own. My whole family loved it. And so then as a result of that, we decided to bottle it. We brought it to Hack Your Health for the first time, 2024. And we brought like several, I don't even know how many cases, but we sold out the first day because people
Yes.
were astounded. But here's the thing. So I'm explaining this story to this friend of mine, and she's looking at me very politely. And she's like, look, Susie, that's so great. I have a pancake syrup that I love, and there's no chance that I'm going to change to a different one because it's so delicious. And I was like, okay, I wasn't actually trying to pitch her. And I was like, no, it's fine. And she's like, yeah, it's called Switch.
Oh my God. You have got to be kidding me. No. That's me.
That's my pancake syrup. And she's like, what? I thought didn't you have a different name? And I'm like, yes, we rebranded last year from Scrummy Sweets to Switch. That's my pancake syrup. She looks at me and she goes, it's so fantastic. I'm like, yeah, no, I know.
Do you know what? I have to say, I'm so proud that I was one of the first people to taste it. And for anybody who doesn't know, and how could you not know by my accent and my fabulousness, I'm Canadian. And we are very, very serious about our maple syrup. Like, I am not kidding. you don't come to a table in Canada with Aunt Jemima's. You just don't do it. It's
No.
not done. We are so serious about maple syrup in Canada that if you go to any of the airports, you can see certified Canadian maple syrup. And it has to be fresh, and it has to come all the way from out in Montreal, and it has to be the real stuff. Your syrup is the only thing that I have ever tasted in my whole life that I would say I prefer that over real, natural, pulled straight from the trees in Montreal pancake syrup from the land that I love.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
that's a big deal as a Canadian. I might get kicked out of Canada for that. Like, I might as well say I don't like beef, right? Like, I'm just saying I'm risking my entire Canadian citizenship to let everybody know that you literally have the best pancake syrup on the planet.
Yes. Well, no blood sugar. Come on, guys. Anyway, so we did the pancake syrup. We have this. We have more recently our Fruity Chews. These aren't the permanent bags, but these are kind of like Starburst, but then they have a little bit of a sour mix to them, which is kind of ridiculous.
Ooh.
This is the candiest thing we make. We've also been freeze drying our gummy bears. We've been freeze drying our gummy bears. I really wanted to show them because they're so crunchy and delicious and light and airy, but I ate them all.
Of course you did.
I really did. So I miss crunchy, and they're like, they actually look kind of like a pork rind. So
Yes.
we were just at Meat Stock, and people kept walking by and grabbing samples, and I would have to yell after them, not
It's not a pork rind.
It was great. But I want to show you our best product, even with all these amazing things. This is magic in a bottle. So the rest of my journey, remember when I said that I love coffee with lots of cream and sugar? For me, I was like, look, we've bought the stevia drops. They always made me sad because they tainted my coffee, if I'm being honest.
It tastes bitter. I'm not going to lie. I do have the stevia drops. They're bitter. There's a bitter aftertaste to it. Not when you first sip it, but after, and it sits on your tongue and it lives there.
Yeah. I wanted a clean, sweet flavor is what I wanted. So we have created these. We were using them for about a year while we were trying to source the ingredients because I'm kind of a beast about ingredients. And these are our switch sweetener drops. You literally need 3-4 drops in a cup of coffee, and it's a perfect, clean, delicious sweet. And you can also put it in whipped cream. You can make lemonade, like where you squeeze fresh lemon in there, a little bit of salt, add a couple of drops, and then you've got a very refreshing drink. It is a game changer for everything. I carry it with me all the time in my purse. I keep an extra one at our coffee station here at the house. I never want to be caught without it, because I would even see people in the keto and carnivore space that sometimes would use like Sweet and Low, or they're using Splenda, or they're using some other thing. And I'm like, okay, part of the reason we're doing this is to minimize inflammation. And I'm not here to judge somebody when they're having something, because you have to pick your battles, right? If the worst thing that's happening is your blood sugar going bananas and you need to get that under control, fine. But just know that if you're still eating like something that has aspartame in it, for example, there has been shown, there are lab studies that indicate that aspartame consumed over a period of time will actually drive insulin resistance. We're trying to do the opposite of that. So that's where really clean ingredients happen. The thing you should know about allulose, it's only 70% as sweet as sugar. Okay.
Oh.
So using it as a sweetener in your coffee by itself is going to be challenging, and you might even exceed the threshold of what would be comfortable. So you have to cut the allulose with a high intensity sweetener. So the options are stevia, monk fruit. Monk fruit is a gourd fruit that brings its own flavor to the table. We found a protein called Katemfi fruit extract, which is already an approved sweetener in every country. And it actually stimulates bitter peptides in the gut, and it's fantastic. And it's a protein. So between that and allulose, we have our perfect sweetener drops.
Awesome. And wicked on the budget, because you just said something that's going to change everybody's life at the end of this live. 4 drops, not drop hers.
That's right.
So get to her website, check her out on all the social medias, and get you some sweetness in your life.
Yeah, switchsweets.com. Switchsweets.com. And yeah, thanks for having me on, Dory. This was great.
Bye. Love you.